Right. That's the only bad thing about this is it takes a while to get it all set up. All right, there we go. All right, so we are live on YouTube as we are every single weekday, Monday through Friday, typically sometime in the 11 o'clock hour until sometime in the 1 o'clock hour anyway. It kind of rotates a little bit as need be, just based on schedules, but we're here. For those of you that haven't met me, my name is Jay Handler. I am a coach, a consultant, speaker. I'd love to get up in front of audiences and help them achieve more with less. You know, everybody wants you to work harder. Everybody wants you to spend 60, 80, 100, 120 hours a week building your business. But the reality is that's just not possible. It's not sustainable, right? I mean, you can do it for a little while, but it's not going to get you what you want. And worse than that, it's really going to beat you down, right? Beat you up, beat you down, whatever you want to say. I just like all of you, I love watching these, Shark Tank and Lion's Den and all of these other shows that, depending on what country you're in. And inevitably, in every one of them, there's the Mark Cuban type who, I mean, his advice is always going to be, you've got to be working more hours. You've got to be working 80 hours. You've got to be working 90 hours. You got to put more time in. You got to. And that's fine. Coming from a billionaire who's trying to help businesses become multi-million dollar businesses. The challenge, though, is that the vast majority of businesses are not in that stage. They're not there right now. They're more in that micro business stage where, the idea of multi-millions is so far out that we've got to figure out, how to get to the first steps first. How do I get to that first level before we really start to, energize from there? I'm not saying that I'm smarter than Mark Cuban. I'm not. I mean, Mark Cuban has all the experience and all the money. He's done it. But what I'm saying is that they're looking at a very, very specific microcosm of entrepreneurship. And it's not where most of you or me are. I are. We are. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the ways that we can make life easier for ourselves so that we can work smarter, not harder. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm not against hard work, and I don't think that it should be a cakewalk. But at the same time, you know, the one of the main reasons that people start their own business, besides money, is that life-work balance, right? And yes, I call it life-work balance, not work-life balance, because I think life should come first. But people are so locked in to, I got to work harder, I got to work harder, I got to work harder, more hours, more hours, more hours, that they're completely selling their life for their work. And that, to me, that just doesn't make any sense. I won't sacrifice my life. I won't sacrifice time with my family. I won't sacrifice time with my kids, with my grandkids. I won't. That's the important thing to me. Now, you know, there's more to it than that, but that's what is right at the very top of my ladder, right? It's family first. It has to be for me. So, with that being said, how am I going to make the kind of money that I need to make without spending the kind of time working that most people want to spend in order to get to that life work balance? The reality is we can simplify a lot of things. And that's really the message today. It's all about simplification. It's all about how do we break things down and make them easier for ourselves. And I'm going to tell you, we talked about, or well, we talked in the title of the video, I said that this is simple, and it is incredibly simple, but simple business math that will absolutely make you money. And that's, I want to do something where you can see the results as quickly as absolutely possible. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our handy dandy whiteboard that we have fallen so in love with the last week or two. And I want to show you a few things that I think are really, really important. Let's see here. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Yeah, looks good. All right. So what we're talking about is some incredibly simple math for business. Okay. Now, what I want you guys to understand is that it does not matter to me what industry you're in. It does not matter to me what role you play. It doesn't matter to me what your mission is. It doesn't matter to me what your industry, I mean, none of that matters. What matters is the math, and it works. So there's a couple of things that I want to look at. The first thing that we're going to look at is the value of time. Then we're going to look at let's see here, we're going to do the value of time, and we're going to talk about the expense of inaction. Those are the two big ones. We'll talk about more as we go along, but these are the two big ones. In fact, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do this because I am going to talk about one or two others as well. Let's just go ahead and put this one in there too. We're talking about the value of time and the business needs. This one's going to surprise the hell out of you. All right. That one right there is going to be the big surprise as far as I'm concerned, but we'll see. We'll see what you guys think. Let's start off with the value of time. All right. This one is really, really simple, but I think it's incredibly important. Before we do anything else, before we look at any other math problems, before we look at anything else in our business, I want us to look at the value of time because it's the one commodity that we have that we can't get back. And if I'm telling you, I want you to work smarter, not harder, it's got to start with the way that we use our time. And if you're abusing the time that you have, not intentionally, nobody is doing it intentionally, right? But if we abuse the time that we have access to, we can never get that back. It's gone. So I think it's incredibly important that we start right here. So the first thing I want you to do as we start looking at the value of time, okay, we're talking about the value of specifically your time. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to generate a number. All right. And the number is really simple. How much money do you need to make per month in order to be as successful as you want to be? All right. Now, listen, let's not get nuts here. Okay. Again, we've got to understand that the amount of money that we're talking about here isn't your dream. This isn't, I want to make $3 billion a year. We've got to start realistically, right? If we've never made $100,000 before, putting $1 million as our goal might be a little bit big, might be a little bit out of reach, right? So it's got to be a realistic number. Okay. But as long as it's a realistic number, as long as it doesn't make you say, holy cow, there's absolutely no way that that's ever going to happen. Well, then I think we're okay. Kayvon, good to see you, man. Appreciate you being here. Bear with me. We're going to get to some new stuff, but we're going over some old stuff first because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So how much money per month are you looking to make? What is the realistic current goal? Realistic current goal in dollars per month, pounds per month, whatever your currency is, wherever you are. All right. Grab a calculator, put that number, whatever it is, into your calculator. Hit the divide by sign. Oops, not question mark. Hit the divided by sign. Now, listen to this for a second. Put your phone down again and just listen. We're talking about per month. How much money do you need to make? All right. So we're going to short this just a little bit. All right. The way I want to do this, once you've got this, we need to figure out that each and every single month has 4.333333 days in it. right? Or weeks in it, excuse me, weeks in it. So here's my first question to you. How many weeks per month? I know we're doing this a little bit differently than you guys have done this in the past, but it's important. How many weeks per month are you going to work? All right. Now, it's not going to be 4.3. Okay. It can't be because over the year, you're going to take some time off. You're going to be sick. You're going to have to take some time off for vacations, for family events, for, family emergencies, whatever the case may be. So we're not going to get to 4.3. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It's not a realistic average. Could we get to 4? Could we get to 3.5? 3.75? I mean, again, totally up to you. But we've got to pick a number. You know what? I'm making this more difficult than it needs to be, aren't I? Let's make this easier. Let's make this easier. Take your how much per month and let's change that. Let's make that per year. All right. So let's start over. Let's make that per year. This will be even easier for you. Okay. Once you've got the year, I mean, if you already did the month, just multiply times 12 and you can figure out what the year is, right? But there's your goal. All right. We're going to divide that by the number of weeks you're going to work. Now, every single 12-year period, every single 12-month period, every year has 52 weeks. So how many weeks per year, so make it easier, are you willing, able, and most of all, committed to working on your business? You could say 52, but don't. Right? That doesn't make sense. Again, like I said, you're going to take some time off. You're going to be ill. You're going to have family obligations and so forth. So whatever that number is, I'm just going to use 48. Right? I'm going to take a month off. I'm going to take 4 weeks off throughout the year. I'm going to be working 48 weeks. Okay? Whatever your first number was, that how much money do you need per year? Divide that by 48 weeks. And what you get is the value that you place on 1 week of your effort. Okay? That's what we've just determined. The value you place on 1 week of your effort. All right? I probably should have, since we're doing a math equation, I probably shouldn't do all of the ellipse. I should probably instead have done equals. Okay? The value that you place on 1 week. You got to know this number, guys. You have to know this number. Let's call this X. The value you place on 1 week of your effort. Let's call that X. All right? Now, once we've got that, we need to take X, right? Again, remember that's value of 1 week of your effort. And we're going to divide that again. Put your phones down for a second. All right. So we've got our X. We're going to divide again. Now, what are we going to divide by? Well, every single one of those weeks, 48, 49, 50, 51, 47, however many you picked, every single one of them has 7 days. You and I both know I'm not going to tell you to work 7 days a week. I think that's too much. I think you need to have a balance in your life. So how many days per week are you willing, able, and most of all, committed to working on your business? Is it 5 days? Is it 6 days? Is it 4 days? Whatever it is, it doesn't make a difference. Okay. But whatever it is, we're going to divide that X, the value of 1 week of our effort, by the number of days per week we are committed to working. Okay. If we do that and hit the equals button, what do we have now? Now we have the value, and I'm going to call this one Y, of 1 day of your effort. Okay. Guys, it's incredibly important that we know these numbers. Okay. You can blow off a week. You can just say, hey, to hell with it. I'm going to take a vacation. As long as you understand this is the value that you placed on that week, whatever that number was. You just got to know what you're giving up. in order to get whatever it is that you get. Right? Same thing here. When we talk about, well, I can take a day off. Okay, well, let's take a look. How do we value our day? Well, I value my day at $100. I value my day at $1,000. I value my day at $1,500. Whatever the number is, you've got to look at it and say, okay, does what I'm planning on doing, taking this day off, does this warrant giving up Y number of dollars, Y number of pounds, Y number of lira, whatever it is? Okay, let's go one more deeper. Let's go one layer deeper. Y for the oops, 1 day value. We're going to divide it one more time. All right, so you've got your Y, hit divide by and put the phone down and let's talk one last time because you know what's happening here. Okay, we can take this pattern and figure it out. The next step is figuring out how many hours per day. All right, we're down to the day, so now we got to break the day up into hours. Again, 24 hours in a day, you know the number's not going to be 24. I don't think the number should be 12. But you tell me, on an average week, if I know that you're working, how many hours during the day should I expect you to be working on your business? What are you willing, able, and most of all, committed to working? 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is. Number of hours you're committed to work per day. When you do that, what you found is Z. Let's call it V. V is the value of 1 hour of your time. Okay? V is the value of 1 hour of your time. Why do I need to know this number? Again, not only will this help keep you motivated, keep you working, keep you doing what needs to be done, but on top of that, it's going to help you take control of your day. Think about this for a second. The vast majority of people spend 80% of their time generating 20% of their revenues. It's the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, right? More simple math for you. The Pareto principle says 80% of your efforts will only bring about 20% to the bottom line, which means that 20% of what you're doing now is going to bring the other 80% of your revenue. Now, let's think about this like an entrepreneur for a second. All right. I don't care how long you've been in business. Think about this like an entrepreneur. If you know that 20% of your work, matter of fact, let's just do this over here. Hang on one second. I'm going to go ahead and let's visualize this sucker. All right. Let's talk Pareto principle. Okay. What you've got with the Pareto principle, and this is just fact. Okay. I don't know how it works, but it works. Whoops. See, we love the whiteboard until it takes time to use. Then it's a pain in the butt. All right. So what Pareto is telling us is that 80% of our time is only getting us 20% of our revenues. This should be the other way around. Hey, let me change this up. Do it like this. Just looks better for me for some reason. Okay. That should be 20, which means this should be 8. All right. Now, what we're talking about here, all right, as we look at this, effort, reward. Revenue, right? Get there. I'm going to get there. There we go. Effort v revenue. Okay. Now, what are we talking about? At the end of the day, if 80% of your effort only brings 20% of your revenues, and if 20% of your effort brings 80% of the revenues, where do we want to live? What should we be doing? Where should we be spending our time? By the way, for those of you tuning in on the Zoom, I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I know some of this is a little repetitive. We've done this over and over again, but A, it's a good review, and B, it's incredibly important. So bear with me. For those of us that are watching in on YouTube, this is probably very, very new to them. So give me a couple minutes and we'll get to some new stuff for you as well. All right. But here's the thing. If I know that 80% of my effort is only bringing me 20% of my revenue, shouldn't I stop doing this? Shouldn't I spend less time here and more time here? Doesn't that make sense? Because what do I really want? I want to be more productive. I want to make more revenue. So if I want to make more revenue, I got to focus on things that provide more revenue. Yeah, smarter, not harder. Okay. So once we understand V, right? Here is our V. Once we understand that number, then we know where we need to be over here. Which tells me that 80% of your efforts right now, if you're like most entrepreneurs, 80% of your efforts right now are bringing you very, very, very little in return. You're busy as hell, right? But are you productive? My goal here today is to help you stop wasting time and start making money. So what we've got to do is cut out the 80% that doesn't work for us and take that 20% and increase the volume, right? We want to do more of this so we get more of this. That means understanding the value of your time. That is why this becomes so important, because now when you find yourself doing something, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, right? Take a look well, today's Monday, so we can't do that. Let's look at Friday. Think about your day on Friday. What did you do? Just think it through. And I want you to imagine that you're thinking through that value or that effort based on based on the value of 1 hour of your time, whatever that number was. I want you to just say that number out loud right now, whatever that number was. That's your number. If you spend time Friday or Monday or any day doing things that are not of that high value, I'm going to tell you to stop doing them, or at the very, very least, start doing them at only 20% effort. There you go. Casey says, my time is worth $125 per hour. Fantastic. Let's use Casey's number. All right, let's use Casey's number for a second. Casey's is $125 per hour, right? Now, what I've told Casey to do, and she's done it, I know she has, is she's written down my time is worth $125 per hour. And she's written it down on 10 sticky notes, guaranteed, at least 10. She put a date on it so that she remembers what day she did this. And she's going to put them, 13 of them. All right, good for you. She's going to put them all over her house, all over her office. I've got one right now. Well, here. I've got mine right there. It's attached or sticky noted to my monitor. I've got another one on my cell phone. I've got another one on my laptop. I've got another one on the refrigerator because Fat Boy likes to eat. And I find myself at the refrigerator more often than I should. And there it is to remind me. Wherever it needs to be on the kid's door. I like that. Wherever it needs to be so that you see it all the time, because you have to burn this into your brain. You have to own this number. Now, if I was talking to Casey, if I was Casey's coach, I am. But if I was talking to Casey, if I was coaching Casey about her workday on Friday, I might ask her what she did. When she tells me, well, I went to a networking event. Okay, well, let me ask you this. How many hours did you spend at the networking event? 2 hours. All right, so basically what we did is we spent $250 worth of value, $250 worth of our time to go to this networking event. Did we get back, or did we have every reason to believe that we would get back $750 out of that 250? We're looking for that 3-to-1 ROI, right? If I'm going to spend 250, it better make me 750 bucks, right? Make sense? This is where we want to focus. Now, if Casey told me that, she spent 3 hours, or let's call it 4 hours, let's call it $1,000 of value. All right. That's not right at all, is it? $500 worth of value. Good Lord. I told you guys, I'm zipping around here today. Let's say Casey spent 4 hours, $500 worth of value doing, I don't know, let's say straightening up the office. Okay. Is straightening up the office important? Yeah, absolutely. Getting yourself organized is incredibly important. But here's the thing. You just spent the equivalent of $500 to get the house or the office in shape when you could have done that over the weekend when your customers weren't available to you. And instead, you could have spent that $500 doing something that used to be 20%, that delivers the 80%. The value of your time, knowing this, is going to help you get control over your calendar. Now, let's think about this for a second. If you're the average human being, all right, I'm sure you're above average. I know you are, right? Because we're all above average. Somehow that happens. But if you're the average business owner, if you're the average human being, then you're spending right now, until you learn this, 80% of your time doing stuff that really doesn't value or doesn't deliver value to the bottom line. What that means, if we do the math, is that if we're working 5 days a week, 4 days of that week are only bringing us 20% of our revenue. It's that one day a week that's bringing us 80% of our revenues. What does that mean? Well, if we delete all of this 80% garbage that doesn't really generate enough revenue for us to focus on it, now we've got 4 days back. We can eliminate 4 days worth of work on our calendars, 4 days worth of work on our everyday routine, which means now we can take this 20% and we can multiply it by 5 to get us to 100%. What's going to happen? If I multiply this by 5, I multiply this by 5. If this is revenue, which would you rather have? 5 at 80%, right? 5 days at 80% efficiency, or 1 day at 20% efficiency. Better yet, 5 days, 5 days. Which one do you want? I want my 5 days up here. I don't want to spend 1 day here and 4 here. I want to spend as much time as I can in this zone, right here, doing the stuff that used to be 20% of my week, but now is 80 to 100% of my week, so that I'm 5Xing 80% of my revenues. Does that make sense? What is 5X 80% of your revenue? Let's do that math for a second. All right. Let's say, for example, that your revenues right now are, let's just keep it super simple. Let's say you're making $3,000 a month right now. Okay. If you're making $3,000 a month, oops, and we divide that by, oops, we multiply that, sorry, by 0.8, what do we get? What do we get? 3,000 80%, well, here, let's just grab the calculator. Let's make sure that we're exactly right. $3,000 times 0.8 is 2,400 bucks. Now, whoops, that should be a dollar sign, obviously. Now, what happens if I take that 2,400 bucks and now I multiply that by 5? Because now, instead of only doing 1 day of efficient work, now I'm doing 5 days of efficient work. So we take our $2,400 and we multiply that times 5. What do you get? Whoops, good Lord. $2,400 times 5 is 12 grand. So what we're doing here, you guys gotta just smack me around when I start doing dumb stuff like this. $12,000. Which is better, 3,000 or 12,000? The difference between you making 3,000 a month and 12,000 a month is right here in the Pareto principle. And this is the rule you need to make this 3,000 turn into this 12K. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. This right here is one of the most important math equations you'll ever do, because this one right here is going to take you to a 4x of your business, right? 4x of the revenues that you've been bringing in. All you have to do is quit doing the dumb stuff that brings you no money and start doing more of the smart stuff that brings you a lot of money. Now, the next piece of this puzzle is the business needs. And for those of you, again, I'm looking at who's here in the room, and it's almost all my clients, or almost all of you are my clients. I shouldn't say it's almost all my clients, but all of you just about are clients of mine. And the only one that's not will be soon. Or, well, one that will be soon and one that has been in the past. So let's take a look next at the business needs. Okay. What does the business need? Let's go back to our how much money per year and our value per week. We're going to go back to the value of time for a second. But whatever number you put here, how much money per year is your current goal? Okay. Let's put that in here again. All right. So this is your current, whoops. All right. We'll do that. This is your current goal. All right. Whatever that number is, if we put that in there, let's just go with this. Let's call it, we'll call it $100,000. Okay. That's your goal. Your goal is to make $100,000. All right, great. What's it going to take to get us there? What's it going to take? Well, the first thing we need to do is understand one more really important piece of math. All right, really, really, whoops, important here. What is the average ticket of your consumer? How much are they spending with you in a given year? How do I figure that out, Jay? I don't have a clue how much they're spending. All right, well, let's take a look. Take a look at last year's numbers, last year's revenue. And we're going to, whatever that number is, we're going to divide that by last year number of clients. That's it. That's it. All right. Your last year's revenue divided by last year's number of clients is going to give you the average ticket, the average amount of money that somebody spends with you in that year's period of time. Now, if you've got 5 years of experience, If you've got 5 years of numbers, fine. Take last 5 years of revenue divided by the last 5 years of clients. How many clients did you have over 5 years? And get an even more accurate reading. Okay, the reason I do last year, obviously, is because I want to see what you're doing right now or as close to right now as possible. But if you've got more data, use it. And let's figure out what that average ticket is. All right. So we've got our current goals. It's $100,000. We are going to divide that by that average ticket. And what do we get at the end of that? Your current goal divided by your average ticket is the number of clients at that average ticket. You need to make your goal. That's how many clients you need. That's how many clients you need in order to get there. All right. So if you tell me, look, I'm going to go to 100 grand. Okay. And let's just pretend for a second, because we haven't really talked about this yet. Just pretend that our average ticket is, I don't know, 250 bucks. Okay. If we do that, then we take a look, we do the simple math, $100,000 divided by our $250 means we need 400 clients in the year in order to get to our number. Now, that may be a lot for you. You may be looking at that and thinking, I can't handle 400 clients. Well, good. Good. I don't want you to. That seems like a lot to me. Now, we could break it down by the month. We could take that 400 divided by 12 and come up with 39. So now we know we need 40 clients every single month in order to get to our number. But let's think about this for a second. All right, I'm going to take all of this and I'm going to copy it. I think, if it'll let me copy it. All right, well, let me copy it. Fine, no problem. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go down here and we're going to change this. Our current goal is still 100 grand, right? But now we're going to divide it by our average ticket, which we're going to raise now. Okay, we're going to raise this, not a ton. We're just going to raise it a little bit just to show you how much change happens here. Let's say that instead of 250, you find ways that you can now add an extra $100 per client. Maybe you simply raise the rate. Maybe you just charge more money per, right? Maybe you add something on. You find another product or another service that you can add into all of this. Suzanne, if you do that one more time, I'm going to come up to you. Knock it off. Oh, no. Wait, what happened? Here we go. Quit clicking stuff, Suzanne. If we were to change this, uh-oh, wait a minute. Now I've really screwed it up, haven't I? Forward, 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 forward,
I'm
forward.
so sorry. I didn't realize.
No worries.
I didn't realize I was doing something to it.
No worries. Don't worry about it. I got it. So we're going to change this. Our current goal is going to stay the same at 100K divided by our average ticket, which is going to change. I don't know. What do you guys think? What's a realistic number? Can we add $100? Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens there. Let's go to $350 per client. Okay. Now what do we know? Now we know that if we take our same math, we got our $100,000 and we divide it now by 350. Now I only need 285 clients per year to get my goal. Or if I want to look at it divided by the month, now instead of 40, I only need 23 per month. It was actually closer to 24, but how much easier is that? Yeah, but Jay, that's still a big, big, big number. I don't know, man. I don't know that I can handle, you know, getting 24 clients a month, much less handle dealing with 24 clients a month. Okay, great. So what do we do? We've only got two things that we can change here. There's only two numbers that make up our goal number, our client goal, number of clients goal, right? It's either our current goal or our average ticket. All right. We're not going to change the goal. I don't want you to lower the benchmark. Okay. We're going to stay, the bar is going to stay right there at 100 grand. But what happens then if we can instead do 100,000 divided by $500, right? What do we get then? What do we get then? If we take that $100,000 and we divide it by 500, now we only need 200 per year or 17 per month. The goal here is to figure out what you're going to need to do to raise the average ticket. This has to go up. All right. It's the only thing that's going to make a whole lot of sense to change. This must increase. Okay. We've got to get that average ticket up. What are some ways you can upsell to your current clients? What else do you notice that they're needing? Good points. I love that. Can you refer them to someone else for certain services? Let me give you an example of not exactly that, but similar. Okay. Most of you that are on the Zoom call anyway know our friend Frank Burgoyne. Frank is an interview coach. He works with six-figure professionals who are going through potential job changes and they're interviewing, but they're not getting the offers. So he's helping them fix whatever's broken in their interview style, right? Well, Frank spent a long time in the HR industry. He's hired people for decades. He knows what he's doing. He's a great coach. But for the longest time, Frank said, doing resumes is beneath me. That's below my pay grade. I don't want to mess with that. Well, we talked about ways that we can still do it without him messing with it. We talked about utilizing some AI tools. What we ended up discovering or deciding to do, what Frank decided to do, he found a woman who's doing great resumes and charging very little for them. He contracted with her, said, listen, I'm going to send you resumes. You're going to redo them. I'll pay you your number and you work under me doing it that way. You can still have your own business, but I'm one of your clients sending you business. I'm just going to send you multiple pieces of business. So now what Frank is doing, let's say she's charging 250. I think that's roughly the number. If she's charging 250 and Frank dealing with these six-figure professionals can easily get 500. What he's now done is he's taken his average ticket and added an additional $250 to it. And he's not doing any of the work. All he's doing is taking that resume, sending it over to his contractor, letting her do the work, sending it back to him so that he can then go over it with his client. It's an extra 250 bucks per client, potentially. It's an average of $250 more per ticket than he was getting before. Who can you partner with? Who can you work with that can bring you more revenue? Here's another example. Our friend Colin. He's here on the Zoom in case any of you are going to. By the way, if you're on the YouTube and you want to join us on Zoom, if you want to come on so you can ask questions live, go down to the description down below. And there's a link there that you can register for the Zoom courses. We do this every single day, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1. So please feel free to jump on in. But let's just say, let me give you another example. Colin here is an animator. Okay. He takes still photographs and creates these animations within them to make pictures kind of come to life a little bit. And we've seen examples. He's done some really, really cool stuff. He's added in planes flying by and birds flying by and lightning strikes and flashes of light and fire burning and things that just weren't there. I looked at that and I said, well, okay, how much are you charging? And he told me. Now, this is a unique situation because Khalid lives in Egypt. So he charges significantly less than we would charge in the US, in Canada, in Europe. So he and I talked a little bit and I said, look, I think we could 5x what you're charging or more and still pay you. I don't even remember the numbers. I have to go back and look at them, but we ended up coming to a number where, okay, so from now on, if my clients want these animations, I can charge them $250, pay him $125, pocket $125 for myself. Everybody's happy. My average ticket just went up by another $125. How many more clients or how many fewer clients do I need now? Because I removed $125 or added $125 to each average ticket. Does that make sense? Casey, what do you got for us?
Hey Jay, hey everyone. So I popped in the chat on Zoom and Jay read off the questions. It's like, well, what are some ways that you can upsell to your current clients? What else do you notice that they're needing? And if you're anything like I was when I first started my business, it was like, well, what do you mean? How can I upsell my clients? This is the service that they're asking for. The best way that I can tell anybody, and I tell my clients this, and I've worked with Jay with this one, is that write out the list of services that you do provide or that you can contract out, like we've been talking about the last couple of moments of, collaborating with other people and everything. So write out your list. Like for me, I have a laundry list of things that I can help my clients with, from anywhere from coaching and consulting to writing specialist and so on and so on. My list continues on, but I focus on my consultations and I focus on my writing. And what can I do? Well, in my writing, I can help with social media. I can help with white papers. I can help with this. In my consultation, I can work with companies. I can work with teams. I can work individually. I can work with partners. It goes. Write out your list of services that you provide, not necessarily just to the client, but what you can provide, even if it's not listed on your site. Then go back to what your client, what you are, providing for that client. I had a client who all I was doing was social media, but turns out he had issues with editing. He had issues with contracts not getting out properly, contracts not formatted properly. He had issues with descriptions. He had issues, all of these things that needed writing specialties that I can provide. I don't write contracts, but I can edit them. I can format them. I can write out descriptions. I can do, and I was consulting with him. So then that went, my average ticket for him was $150 a month. And that bumped all the way up. And there were some months that I was making $1,000. I was charging him $1,000 a month based off of the added services that I was providing for him. Now he stopped and he's actually looking to come back to me for some other things. And my average ticket for him will go up significantly. But that's how you do it. That is how you go, okay, I need to come up with X amount of money and I can't add to my roster. But this is how you can figure out how to upsell. And when it comes to those collaborations, man, expand your network, talk to the people in your network, find out what they're doing. Kristen, she does graphic design. Suzanne is an amazing jewelry artist, but she needs help with writing on certain things. Kayvana is a health coach. Linda does, book stuff. There's so many things that you don't know who you know until you start talking to them. I'm a writing specialist, but a lot of people know me also as a coach, as a business coach. And amazingly enough, and I don't know why, but I have impressed Jay enough to actually be certified under his name, under his platform, because I've taken what I've learned from him and other people, and I have all my experiences, and I throw it into my clients, and I add that so people can come to me and ask me for help, and I can help them in other ways, and they can collaborate with me. So there's different ways that you can up this average ticket even just a little bit. Amazing what $5, and I'm not saying you should only do $5, but $5 over the course of 40 people over the course of X amount of months. Think about what that means. What can that mean? $20 added per week. What would that be? $80. Heck, that's half my grocery bill, y'all. That's awesome. That's a date night once a month for me and my husband. Tell you what, I need that. I don't know about y'all, but that's just some ways that I have found, and Jay can go into more if you want. That's all I got.
That's great. And let me just tell you, Casey undersells herself. Not only is she certified as a J Handler coach, but she is the first coach ever certified by me. So yeah, that's a little bit of a different distinction. I want though to show you something else, because most of you are looking at this and thinking, well, what's $5? What's $100? I mean, I mean, I'm still needing 20 to 30 clients a year, and man, that's still a lot. I want to tell you the story of Melissa. And again, all of you here on the, in the Zoom version of this call, you guys have all heard this story before. But for those of you on YouTube, Melissa owns two businesses. She has a Merle Norman franchise in Abilene, Texas, and also in Abilene, she has a home cleaning business and was doing well, but started coming into my spaces, eventually hired me, and we started talking about how we were going to raise her average ticket. Huge, important thing, right? What she was doing originally, she was charging on average like 200, let's call it 275 to come in and clean a home. 275 bucks. But she was doing a lot of the work herself because it didn't pay to pay other people to come in and do the cleaning at 275, right? It took 2 hours, it took two bodies, and it's just, by the time she paid them, she's making very little money. So we've got to raise her average ticket. And there's a couple ways that we can do it. One, we could just start charging a little bit more, right? But how much more are people going to pay than say 250 bucks, 275 bucks? Well, what we figured is they won't, right? It doesn't matter how much more expensive the home is. They're not going to pay much more than that. But what if instead of cleaning residential homes, what if we cleaned vacant residential homes instead? What we did is we looked into the builders, right? So there are dozens of builders all over Abilene that are building homes. And when they're done building that home, somebody needs to come in and polish the place. I mean, clean is an understatement. They're going to come in and make this place look like a brand new home, which is what it is, right? But through the process of construction, there's dust and dirt and I mean, just soot and grime everywhere. They've got to come in and do this cleaning. Since she started with me, the first thing that she did was quit taking on new residential customers and started taking on these builders instead. The builders are providing her with more clients, right? They're doing more than one at a time. They're doing 2, 3, 4, 5 homes at a time, and they're going to need her to clean all of them when they're done. And oh, by the way, they're not paying $275 for a pristine clean. It's the name of her business. They're paying $675 on average, and some of them go much higher than that. But think about what she's done now. The same exact amount of time cleaning the same exact amount of space, only this time it hasn't been lived in. So
You just gone?
It looks like he might have frozen on his end. So basically, I'll, yeah, he got kicked out. So basically what was going on with Melissa, is that she's doing this pristine clean. And she is now upping her average ticket because she's going with builders and going commercial in that sense. Now she's expanding her network with the builder, she's expanding her referral network, but and also if she wanted to, and I'm not entirely sure if she does, Jay can explain that one, is that she's also leaving the opportunity of having a new residential client come in because they're like, holy cow, check this house out, it's beyond beautiful. And she's left her card, she's left that impression that she can actually then gain another lifetime client, an extended period of time client. So she's now not only doing one ticket for the builder, but she also has the opportunity of gaining another ticket with a residential person. We lost you, Jay.
Yeah, I don't understand this. I need somebody who understands computers and internet and all that stuff better than me, because for some reason, every day at 12:18, I lose connection. I don't know why, but every day at 12:18, I lose the connection and I'm gone.
That is very strange that it's like on clockwork that you have that's
Every single day. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, let's try this one. Maybe this will work.
I tried to continue on with your thought process.
Cool. No, I appreciate that.
I don't know how well I did, but I attempted.
So, no, I appreciate that. Melissa's lesson is simply this. Okay. You very well may not be selling to the right audience. Okay. If you're looking at this and thinking, well, Jay, you're only going up, from 250 to 350, only brought me down to 40 clients. And, this going up to 350 only brought me down to 24 per month. I mean, man, 500 only brought me down to 200 per year. That's still a lot of clients. Okay. So let's take that average ticket. Let's do this one more time. Okay. This time, though, let's assume that we are not reaching the right audience. We're selling to an audience that's here. But if we were selling to this audience, they'd be paying a whole lot more. So let's take our numbers again. All right. Our same numbers as before in 100 grand. All right. We're going to divide that now. But again, instead of simply doing, $5 here, $50 there, let's really knock this out of the park. Let's see here. Let me clear this out. Let's say that from our $250 that we're getting in the beginning, we're going to triple that to $750. And I know you're going to say to yourself, well, I mean, how the hell are you going to do that? Well, I'm telling you right now, Melissa did it. You can do it too, and I can show you how to do it. All right. But let's just say that we took that 100 grand and we divided that now by 750. And we divided that by 12. $750 per ticket divided by 12 months. And that comes out to 11. I need 11 clients. I need 11 clients per month to get to my 100K now. Not the 40 that I needed up here per month, not the 17 per month that I needed here, 11. Now, let's take the next logical step. What if instead of them only buying from me once per year, what if I could get them to buy from me twice a year now? Well, guess what happens? Our $750 average becomes $1,500. Now what have we got? We got our 100,000 divided by 1,500 per year. We've got 66.666 repeating clients that we need for the year. Let's divide that by 12. And now we need 5.5 clients per month. Could you find a way to create some sort of a membership, some sort of a recurring revenue? You know, think about, let's get away from the cleaners for a second. Let's think about air conditioning technicians, right? If you own an HVAC company, sure, you make a lot of money when you replace an AC unit, a heater, a cooler, right? But could you put that homeowner on a service plan that every quarter you're going to come back and inspect the service? You're going to come back and make sure that it's got, you know, what it needs in it, that it's running efficiently and all of those things. And you're going to charge them an extra little bit per. These numbers don't take huge, massive, ridiculous work to increase by 3x, 4x, 5x. But if you want to 5x your revenue, the easiest way to do it is to 5x your cost or your price. How do we do that? Well, we can 2.5 times it, go after a different client, and then find another way to get the other 250. Same way, Suzanne. How do you calculate average ticket in a business like yours? Necklaces, rings, earrings, bracelets, same exact thing. Okay, now you could do it per item if you wanted to. You could figure out what your average ticket per necklace is, your average ticket per bracelet, your average ticket per earrings, and you could figure out, oh, how many of each do I need to get to my goal number? All right, that's one way to do it. And I would certainly recommend that you break it down like that a little bit so that you can see where your profits really are. You can see where you really want to focus. But there's another piece of it. I also want you to do the total so that you can see that on average, this is what I need. Right? I mean, you don't need to do just one or just two. You can do multiple different product lines. But you got to know how much you're making per. The biggest thing that entrepreneurs, one of the biggest mistakes in this arena that entrepreneurs make, especially first-time newer entrepreneurs, they go to the lowest hanging fruit. I can sell 100 of these things, 1,000 of these things, 1,000,000 of these things if I sell them cheap enough. So I'm going to go way down here and sell them cheap. When in reality, you could double, triple, quadruple your rate, your price, simply by changing your target market. Instead of going after people that can't afford to spend $1,000 with you and only going after people that spend $250 with you, let's go after the bigger, badder client. How simple is that? Let's go after the client that's going to bring us more money. Yeah, Casey.
So this actually reminds me of one of the things that my mentor talks about a lot. And I highly recommend anybody, you get a business, get a coach, and also get a mentor, somebody that's going to be able to be there in person with you at all, you know, whenever you can. And I've been very fortunate with that. I have a mentor who talks about business is like fishing. And if you want to go fishing and you want to get, you know, tuna or a sailfish or whatever, figure it out, you're going to have the correct bait and you're going to fish and you're going to go after that one specific fish. That is your target market. But if you happen to get, say, you're going for, you know, I suck at fishing, but if you're going to go after, say, a sailfish off the Gulf of Mexico and you bring in this amazing tuna, like humongous tuna, you're not going to just throw it back. You're going to keep it. But you're going to continue going after the bigger fish. Now, are you going to go after, you're going to take the shark? No, you're not going to take the shark. You're not going to take the people, the bad money, the bad clients, because they might give you better, you know, a bigger return. They're going to give you more stress and more headaches. Trust me, ain't worth it. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, burned it. But you're going to want, you know, fish with the correct bait. And again, I'm butchering this wholeheartedly, but you got to, when you're going after one target audience, allow yourself the flexibility to pull in maybe the lower numbers just a little bit, not like rock bottom thing or anything like that, but allow that flexibility, that knowing that good money, it might be at a lower ticket price, and that's okay. But don't start there. Start going with the higher ticket stuff because it'll be so much better and you can provide more value, which gets your name out there more. So you're going for the visibility, which equals the credibility, which equals the profitability, equals more money in your pocket. That's all I got.
Well, I mean, it's a great point. Think about it like this. You know, if you're not, if you're going over, if you're going after the lowest common denominator, okay, if you're going after that, you know, very, very, very small business or that very, very, very low income person, okay, it might feel like it's easier to go after them because, well, I mean, A, there's more of them, and B, I understand them better. It's a comfort zone, right? But think about this for a second. Is it easier, harder, or basically the same to go after a big corporate client comparative to a small business owner? I'll let you think about that for a second. Is it easier, harder, or about the same to go after a big corporate client with a lot of money or a big, you know, wealthy client with a lot of money comparative to going after a more common but far lower capacity target? It's not harder. It's actually much easier. It's much easier. Think about it like this. Let's say you wanted to charge, you're charging $1,000 now for what for your, you know, your big service. All right, whatever it is. And there are some people who can afford to pay that, you know, and you're talking to some people and hopefully they'll afford that. If you raise that from 1,000 to 5,000, all of those people would now become ineligible, right? They wouldn't fit the mold. They're the wrong market. You're talking to the wrong people. But could you find businesses that look at that $5,000 bill and say, that's nothing? Of course we pay that. Of course we pay that. And from there, now you need 20% of the clients you needed before to make the exact same money, right? It's the Pareto principle all over again. You can 5x your revenue by going from $1,000 per client to $5,000 per client. And it's not about the service you provide. It's about the people you're going after to provide the service for. There's so much money sitting there waiting for you. We're just not as comfortable as we'd like to be going after it because humans tend to stay in their own comfort zone. And if this is where you're at, this is where you're going to fish, right? I mean, I love the fishing analogy, but look, I know exactly what kind of fish I can fish for in the lake by my house. I know exactly what types of fish are in there. It's pretty limited. There's a lot of them, but it's pretty limited. Now, if instead I decided to buy a boat so that I could go out on any lake and go do fishing anywhere I wanted to, now I can choose what I'm going after. How big do I want it to be? I can choose the right place and the right bait for the right target. Super, super important to understand that. And without that, it's going to be very difficult to get where you're going. But really look at what the opposite of what you're doing might be. How could I 5x my revenue immediately? I promise you, it's no more difficult to go after a huge client who can afford you and has a bigger problem. Let's talk about the problem for a second. The problem is an obstacle, right? Most of us, what we sell is the solution to a problem. Not all of us. There are some of you that have, you know, a slightly different model, but for the most part, we sell a product or a service that solves a simple enough problem that enough people have and enough people see as a big enough problem to spend some money on. So one of the things that we have to understand is the expense of what you're currently doing. How is that affecting you? Okay. So, for example, if I told you that my company had a 20% drop in revenue last month, and I told you that Microsoft had a 20% drop in revenue last month, who's hurting more? I'm hurting more because I'm the little guy. 20% of mine is a whole lot different than 20% of theirs. I mean, they're just not making a huge profit, but they're still making a plenty of profit, right? But that's next to impossible for me to take over. And oh, by the way, how am I going to fix a 20% change in my revenue? Well, I can increase my client by 20%. I can increase my average ticket by 20%. I can do all of those things. But think about this for a second. If Microsoft has the problem and I can go solve that problem for Microsoft, they're going to pay me 5, 10, 20 times what a client off the street, what an average Joe is going to pay me to solve the exact same problem. It may not be as big a problem to them, but it's a much larger monetary value. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the expense of inaction. And that's kind of what Casey was talking about a few minutes ago, or started talking about. You know, look at the obstacle. I want everybody here, if you're watching, whether you're on Zoom or YouTube, doesn't matter. I want you to just for a second think about the obstacle that's standing in your way right now. What's the one thing that's broken in your business that if you could fix that, everything would be going downhill again? It would be great. Smooth sailing, right? What's that obstacle? Once you can identify that obstacle, we need to know something else. We need to know how much, how much the obstacle is costing you. Okay. So let's say, for example, that my obstacle is I'm horrible at sales. Okay. I'm only closing at 20%. All right. And that's decent, but it's not great. All right. I can look at this and I can say, if I could get my close rate up by, let's say, I don't know, 20%, get to 40%, my numbers double. And if we say, okay, you know, let's just use some flat numbers. Let's just make this easy again. Okay. Let's say that the obstacle that you're facing right now is costing you, for example, $1,000 per month. Okay. The next question, how long has this been going on? Anybody hear the song with me? Well, Jay, it's been going on for 12 months. 12 months? In this example, is $12,000. You're losing out on $12,000 right now because you're just doing what you've been doing. You're not fixing the challenge. You're not overcoming the obstacle. You're just trying to work harder. And again, we already know what's going to happen. The Pareto principle is going to kick in. You can work as hard as you want, but if you're not working smart, if you're not working efficiently, then you're spending 80% of your time to get 20% of the revenue you deserve. What if we could fix this? What if we could eliminate the obstacle? What if we could eliminate that? Then what? If you eliminate the obstacle, you're making $12,000 more. Just in this example, right? Maybe the obstacle is costing you more than $1,000 a month. I'll bet it is. I'll bet you that the obstacle that you see in your business is costing you a whole lot more. I'll bet you many of you are saying to yourselves, you know what? My goal is $5,000 a month in my business right now, and I'm only making 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. So maybe your obstacle is costing you $3,000 a month. And how long has it been going on? Multiply the two, and you'll see how much you've lost already. Okay. In this example, there we go. Casey, your obstacle was costing you $6,000 a month. $6,000 a month. We need to look at that and figure out, okay, well, if it's $6,000 per month, for how many months was it a problem? How much money have we already lost? And by the way, that's not the most important thing. It's this one right here. Because if you keep on working with that obstacle in front of you, you're going to keep losing that $1,000 a month. That's $6,000 a month. That whatever that number is, whatever that obstacle is costing you, you're going to keep on losing that every single month. That 12K is just the base. That's just what's happened over the last year. Next year, it's going to be another 12K. And the year after that, it's going to be another 12K. And the year after that, it's going to be another 12K because you haven't fixed the problem. This is the expense of inaction. Now, check this out. If the solution costs you less than the obstacle is costing you per month, doesn't it make sense? For example, if the solution is going to cost, let's say, $500 a month, doesn't that make sense? All right, I'm going to spend $500 a month, but I'm going to get $1,000 per month. I'm up $500 a month. That's I'm not, and by the way, I'm not continuously losing $1,000 every month. I'm going to not only make up for this 12K that I lost before, eventually, but I'm also going to continue making that additional $500 per month every single month, month after month, month after month, month after month, because I've solved that problem. Does that make sense? What if I told you, nope, this solution is $1,000 per month? Most business owners are going to look at that and say, well, then I'm not doing it. I can't spend $1,000 a month. Are you kidding me? Well, you're doing that now. You're losing $1,000 a month. Isn't losing $1,000 the same as spending $1,000? It's $1,000 coming out of your pocket one way or the other. Either it never got there or it came and went. But either way, it's the same $1,000. So let's say that your obstacle is costing you $1,000 a month, and the solution is going to cost you $1,000 a month. Most business owners are going to look at that and say, hell no, I wouldn't do that. Well, think about this. If you do this, let's say that you've lost money for the last 12 months at $1,000 a month. You spend $1,000 a month to make that back. You basically are breaking even. There's no win there. What you're forgetting is that this right here, this is a liability. This is a loss. This is a loss that's going to continue to be a loss over and over and over again. You're going $1,000 in the hole every month. If you just broke even, that would be better. Breaking even, spending $1,000 to make that $1,000 is better than not making that $1,000 and having that problem persist. I want to get rid of the problem so that it will stop costing me money every month. I've got to stop costing that money every single month. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is an incredibly self-serving process. This particular process right here is incredibly self-serving. Why? Because most of you have an obstacle that is easily $3,000 a month. Easily. Most of you can find one obstacle or two obstacles together that's costing you $3,000 a month in revenue. If I could fix this, Jay, I'd be making $3,000 more. Right or wrong? Give me a thumbs up if I'm right. Give me a like if I'm right. But most of us can find a $3,000 obstacle without too much problem. Now, Let's say that I came in and I told you that I want to be your business coach. I can help you solve that problem. Okay. Now I've got to prove to you that I can. I've got to explain to you how I'm going to do it. I've got to show you proof that I've done it before. You've got to believe that I can do it. But if I can prove to you that I can save you from that obstacle, I can get that obstacle behind you. I can make sure that that $3,000 a month loss is money going in your pocket. What would you do? What would it be worth to get that solution? You're losing $3,000 a month right now. You're losing $36,000 a year right now. If I come in, if my coaching services cost any less than that, it certainly seems like it makes sense. Because even if we just break even originally, once we get back the money that we lost, now it's all forward moving. Now it's all extra, extra, extra. What if my solution was going to cost you $1,500 per month for 3 months? All right. You could hire a coach right now. You could have a coach one-on-one coaching for $1,500 a month for 3 months, $4,500, and then you're done. But that to overcome a $3,000 per month obstacle. Now, you may not overcome it right away. It may not happen in month 1. It may start happening in month 2 and finish up in month 3. But you've been losing 3, then 6, then 9 over that 3 months time. I'm going to help you make back all of it for only $1,500 a month, 3 times, $4,500. Half, 50%. This right here, this is the part that frustrates the hell out of me and any other, coaches. This right here, because the cost of inaction, the expense of inaction, this right here is a major factor in businesses going under. It's as simple as that. You've got to figure out what is the obstacle or obstacles, how much has it cost you, or is it costing you on a regular basis to have that obstacle in your way? How long has it been going on? So now we know how much we've lost over time and how much we're going to continue to lose month after month after month. All we need to do is find a solution to this problem. And if it's hiring a coach or buying a new piece of software or going after a new target, whatever it takes, if we can clear the obstacle, we stop bleeding $1,000 a month. We start making $3,000 a month more. Pretty simple. I'm sorry, we stopped bleeding 3K to get 3K. Sorry. The obstacle versus the solution. But again, either way, would you rather keep your money in your pocket and make $1,000 less every single month than you could, or spend a little bit more one time to delete this forever, to increase your revenues forever? Think about this for a second. Let's say your obstacle is costing you $3,000 a month, right? If your obstacle is costing you $3,000 a month, if your obstacle is costing you $3,000 per month, you're spending $36K per year. Good Lord. Wow. Sorry. Oh, no worries, Suzanne. Kick ass, have some fun with it, and let me know how it goes. Congrats again. That's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. So let's say that the cost is $3,000 a month. You're losing $36,000 a year. Okay. I come in and I tell you, listen, I can get you that $3,000 per month back. And you believe me. I got to show you, but you believe me. I can get you that $3,000 back. It's going to cost you $1,500 a month for 3 months. $7,800 for 12 or 26 weeks, depending on how you look at it. I mean, it can go a bunch of different ways. But see, here's what happens. All right. In month 1, you lose 3,000 and you lose 1,500. So now you are in the hole 4,500 bucks. Then in month 2, you lose your 3 grand. You lose another 1,500, puts us right back at 4,500. But the obstacle is becoming less of a problem. And instead of it being $4,500, we're able to recoup money. We're able to make more money that month than we did before. So that 4,500 in the negative, can now become maybe, let's just call it a negative 1,500. And in the month after that, you've still got your 4,500 in the hole. Let's call it, good Lord. I am messing this all up so many different ways, it's not even funny. If the obstacle is costing you $3,000 per month, I got it this time. If the obstacle is costing you $3,000 and it's going to cost you $1,500, you're down the $4,500 in month 1. In month 2, you're down 1,500, but you're only down half of the 3,000 because we fixed half of the problem. So you're only down 3,000 instead of 4,500 in the second month. In the third month, you're down the 1,500, but you're up the 3,000, which means you're up 1,500. And the month after that, you're up 3,000. And the month after that, 3,000. And the month after that, 3,000. And the month after that, 3,000. Unless you keep getting better, which with coaching, you should. So what ends up happening? This $3,000 a month in the loss column, in the short term, might be a little bit more of a loss. It's only really costing you out of pocket, let's say, $1,500. I'm just using myself as an example. It could be anything. It's only costing you $1,500 in real money out of your pocket. But we're going to recoup it so quickly at $3,000 per month. This is just a loan to yourself. Hiring me as your coach. Hiring Charles to get you VAs or to set you up with a CRM. Hiring Kayvon as a coach. Paying Tracy for amazing floral arrangements in the corporate space. Kristen selling magazine advertising. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay, if the solution to your problem can be had for less than it's costing you, it's your duty to invest. Okay, so what happens here? In the long run, what you've done, we're just going to go long run now, right? In the long run, you've spent $4,500 and you've lost. Let's go ballistic. Let's say that you lose the $3,000 every month. Let's say that the fix of the solution doesn't take place until three months later. All right, let's just play that game. Now we've lost the 40, or we spent the 4,500, and we're going to lose another 9 grand. Okay, that is $13,500 negative. However, what are we going to do? Month one, maybe we do nothing. Month two, maybe we do nothing. Month three, we said we do nothing. But month four, you're now plus, oops, 3K. And month five, you're now plus another 3K and another 3K. And we can keep doing this as long as you want. But take a look what happens. All right. 3, 6, 9. 12. 15. Well, look at that. I'm at 15K. This is month. Okay, so we've gone through 3. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 months bad. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, and I'm up $1,500. 8 months time. 8 months time. And you've made your money back. You never have to pay again, but every single month you're going to make more $3,000 more than you made before. You're going to go from 1,500 to 4,500 to 7,500 to a 10,500 to 13,500 to 16,500. And on and on and on it goes. Again, I said this was incredibly self-serving because I am a business coach and I'd love to talk with you about potentially being your coach. And if this session has resonated with you, if these numbers make sense to you, if this is new information, you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I can 5X my business, 3X my business, 10X my business, pick your number. If you're realizing that it can be done, all you need is the person who has the answer. All you need is the right solution. I'd love to talk with you. But again, maybe it's not a business coach you need. Maybe you need a virtual assistant. Maybe you need a graphic designer. Maybe you need an animator. Maybe you need, I don't know what you need to get better. I don't know what you need to overcome that obstacle. But whatever is in front of you, you must blow this up. You have to destroy this at all costs because it's bleeding far more than the cure ever will. Just that simple. A couple things before we start shutting it down. Number one, I could use 4 favors. And I know that seems like a lot to ask, but I promise you it's going to cost you less than 30 seconds. All right. All told, I'm going to ask you to do 30 seconds worth of work for me in exchange for the 2 hours that we've been here. All right. 1, subscribe. Right down below, hit the subscribe button on the YouTubes. All right. I want to make sure that you get this content every single day coming to you. You can choose which ones you listen to. You can listen to it at 2 times speed, whatever. But I want to make sure that you've got it. So subscribe. That's number 1. Number 2, 3, and 4, like, comment, share. That's it. If you've gotten value out of this, if you think somebody else could see this and it would make a difference in their business, I hope that you will not just like the video, not just comment on the video. I want you to do both of those things. You know that helps. But I want you to share it via email, via social media, however you share, however you reach people. I hope that you'll share this out with them. When you share it, make sure you make a comment. Tell them why you're sharing it. Tell them why you think it's so valuable. What did you get out of it? What portion of it should they pay close attention to? How are they going to benefit? The beauty of this is that there's this phenomenon I call the transference of trust. Okay, now you probably won't find that in any dictionary anywhere. I made it up as far as I know. But the transference of trust says that if you trust me enough to say there's value here, you tell your friends and family and connections and whoever else that there's value here, they're going to trust me because they trust you. And at the same time, if they find value in the content that I'm delivering, you're going to get the value because you're the one that introduced them to me, to this content or whatever content. Again, it doesn't have to be this. It could be anything. At the end of the day, we all want to grow our businesses. We all want to be more successful. We all want to make more money. We all want to have more life than work, right? We all want more time with our family, our loved ones, to do the things we want to do, that we love to do, that we're passionate about doing. If you don't know the value of your time, if you don't understand how many clients you need per month, and if you don't understand the cost of inaction, I'm just telling you now, your business is going to grow far more slowly than it should. And maybe even so slowly that you can't maintain. If you're frustrated by where your business is, if you started underfunded and overconfident, if you started underprepared and over anxious, understaffed and overwhelmed, if you started your business and then later realized that you didn't know everything you needed to know in order to have a successful business, it's time to get those skill sets right now. Right now. If you go down to the bottom on YouTube, go to the description and you're going to see two links. They're both incredibly important, but I want to give them both to you. All right. The first link is a link to sign up for these sessions via Zoom. So you can be right here with Kristen and Tracy and Kayvon and who else was here? Suzanne and Charles and Khalid and everybody else. You could be here, Casey, and you could participate just like they do. I hope that you'll do that. And certainly, I hope that you'll share around that link. The other link is to my calendar. And it would be my honor. This is my offer to you. I want to invest 30 minutes in you. Okay? No sales pitch. No nothing. I want you to come to me with an obstacle, with a problem, with a challenge that you can't figure out how to overcome. And I want to help you overcome it. We'll take 30 minutes. We'll dedicate that to you and to solving that problem for you. Why? Obviously, if I can solve one problem for you, you're going to believe that I can solve the others for you too. I don't want you to just believe. I want to prove it. So I will help you solve any problem that you have, whatever your obstacle is, in 30 minutes. And at the end of that 30 minutes, if you and I both agree that we would be a good fit for one another, then great. We can talk about what it might look like to join my coaching program, to join my group coaching program, which is much less expensive, to be involved with my programs and services that are going to make you money. But first, let me give you the value. If I haven't already done it here, if you're looking on YouTube at some of my other videos and I haven't delivered the value yet, you're not ready to commit. You're not ready to say, yep, Jay, you would be a great coach for me. You're not ready to make that investment in yourself. Then let me make that 30-minute investment in you. Go down to the description, click on that link, schedule a call, and let's chat. What's the worst that happens? What's the absolute worst that happens? You waste 30 minutes of your time. You get nothing out of it. And 30 minutes later, you can go back to doing whatever it was you were doing before. What's the best case? What could happen? How much more money could you make every single month? What would your lifestyle be like if we could change your revenue dramatically in an incredibly short amount of time? It's not rocket science. It's business science. And I'd love to talk with you about your business and the science of making it better. I'm Jay Handler. If there is anything that I can do to support your efforts, please let me know. Reach out. If you're looking to find me on social media, everywhere you look, I'm at Jay Handler, just like my name is spelled out here, Jayhandler. Ler, all one word, J Handler. And you'll find me on any social media app you're looking for. Reach out. Let's have a conversation. Let's find out if there's help for your obstacle. If I know the answer. And here's the promise I will make to you. If I don't know how to solve your problem, I will not leave you hanging. I will not leave you alone. If you invest 30 minutes in me, I'm going to invest in you. If we can't figure out the problem, I'm going to find somebody who can, and we'll learn the answer together. Because you may be the first person that ever brings me that problem. You sure as heck won't be the last. Your move. Your move. I hope you'll take action. I hope you'll do something that has the potential to turn your business around. The potential to make you ridiculous amounts of money compared to what you're making now. Or keep doing what you've been doing and keep getting less and less and less in return over time. Getting more frustrated, further behind on bills, and not living the life you deserve. Ball's in your court. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are. And I will talk to you all hopefully tomorrow.